welcome, gents. Thanks for joining us. This is the first in a series of podcasts we're looking to put together.
Informal podcast.
Informal, yeah.
Positive podcast,
nice
not
and
COVID
relaxed.
podcast.
Oh, we like that.
And what we're trying to do really is like Ed mentioned, breed some confidence, breed some positivity into the industry. So our first one's with you guys from Gallowglass.
Can I just say we got these guys in because Steve's on a tight timeline, and there was one guy we wanted to open that series of podcasts, and it's the Liverpudlian.
So yeah, for us it's a little bit looking over the shoulder at what's happened, but more kind of getting us back, creating some confidence in the industry, and kind of moving forward is what we're kind of looking for. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Positive, and how we're going to come out the other side, essentially, if we're not already.
Yeah.
So, really, you guys have been at the forefront of it, getting it back, Fight Island, lots of stuff in Europe. Kind of, where do you see us as of right now? Kind of current state of play.
The key thing, everybody who's watching, hello. If you don't know who Gallowglass Health and Safety is, we'll do a little bit of an introduction to give you an idea of where we fit into the whole kind of event pyramid. Initially, born out of the UK. 15 years of kind of fighting the good fight.
Yeah.
Never once believing that we'd get into a situation like this. Although we've been through some tough times, you can imagine with 9/11, the industry took a huge whip. We've had mad cow disease, we've had foot and mouth, we've had SARS, and all of them have been hiccups, and nothing has ever hit the industry like this has. And from that perspective, health and safety or an event safety consultancy was always seen more as a luxury from in the mainstream. The bigger companies and the more responsible companies would always use the services of the likes of us, and well played to them type of thing. And we felt we had value to their team, and the feedback from them generally is we did. And more regulatory powers from local authorities and governments, and particularly agencies themselves, fed into our ethos of adding a kind of a layer of support to the production team and to the suppliers. So it was never going in with a clipboard and a finger wag.
Yeah.
It was always going in with a kind of a can-do attitude and a will-do.
Yeah.
The background for the business, effectively, we've got a big crewing company that supports us, and most of the guys came through local labour. Now, what better really to train up safety guys than locals?
Yeah. Locals
get asked to do everything, so they're specialists in nothing. Yeah. But they've got experience of everything from box pushing to hanging lamps. Yeah. So we kind of train our guys. So we were then to go to, let's be qualified in our health and safety provision, but also have the experience. Marry that together, then surely you've got a winning team. So that's where Gallowglass was born, and we've done some big old jobs, and in the past, through the experience of the guys, and the more we were winning, the greater respect we were getting. And of course, when London Olympics came along, and then we signed a contract with the IOC, and then of course we did the Rugby World Cup. We now signed a contract with them, and we're working with UEFA and FIFA, and so it's kind of got to the stage now where we were riding the crest of a wave.
Bang. And from a Middle East perspective, the hub here for you guys?
Yeah, so the hub here, Declan, my colleague, runs the division over here. We've got a full-time team here. We've got a full office there that we've been here for 4 years now.
Yeah.
We always saw this as certainly initially as a stepping stone to the Far East.
Yeah.
Given the fact we had the Winter Olympics, we've got another couple of Olympics, summer and winter, happening in the Far East. So we thought this was a good stepping stone. I think in the back of my mind, I always thought that the old adage of it used to be the graveyard of kind of old techs. Certainly has been rubbed out now. And when we come along to meet with the likes of the 3DB, who take it serious, who have a great reputation both in Europe and out here. It was easy to fit into this way of thinking because it was the same way we've adopted all the way through.
Yeah.
So the Middle East division was, but is. And I'm going to say is, on the up.
And in terms of kind of a moving forward now. We're seeing a lot of pickup in the market, a lot more quotes coming in, pitches coming in, a lot more positivity being bred. What you guys feeling the same? You're thinking we're kind of on a crest.
I think for the last 4 weeks, when it's coming to doing quotes again, it seems to be back to the way it used to be.
Yeah.
Now, the quotes are for towards the end of this year, but like every day we're generating quotes again.
Yeah.
Like from March maybe till a month ago, may have been doing 1 a month, but you could be doing 3, 4 a day now. Like, so people are starting to have the confidence.
Yeah,
for people.
we're starting to see that as well.
Yeah.
There's no confirmed date of when the show's going to be, but it's going to be in October sometime.
Yeah.
It's going to be in November sometime.
Well, we've got that date from the government, 15th of September, which I think we kind of all need to work collaboratively together.
It's a milestone date.
Yeah.
But there needs to be some action, I think, around that.
And we need to sort of all kind of get together as an industry with the likes of you guys, with us, with the agencies that we work with, just to really kind of, get the momentum going, get the confidence up and moving forward.
Well, the ironic thing about it, the 15th of September is a pivotal day. There are other dates around Europe, and particularly now, as you can see from the Australians and the Kiwis, who are way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
I've always said it's going to be east to west, the return of events. But with the best of respect, Eddie didn't wait until the date was announced, the 15th. He was speaking to us, we were speaking to him very, very soon after lockdown started.
Yeah.
Because we weren't thinking about if events will come back.
It's when.
We were thinking about when
and how to do it properly,
and how to do it. So we put the procedure that we knew, and we've adapted from version 1 to maybe version 5. We've adapted as different criteria is improved. We've adapted the safety planning, etc.
From a level kind of thing.
And with the help of 1 or 2 other industry leaders in the UAE, I only wish, and I will refer back to what you said, how does the UAE, I only wish there were some people who were a little bit more positive and confident back in Europe than they are here, because here has definitely got a feeling of optimism and a buzz about it. So it's very exciting.
Definitely. I was chatting earlier before you guys came in to Adam. I was saying, if you look at what we've done, well, I say we, as an industry, as what's been achieved here in the UAE. I mean, Fight Island, that was probably the first big event to actually happen. And Flash, hats off to Flash and their clients for taking that and running with it and going, we're not going to talk about it, we're going to do it. And this is how we're going to do it. If we have to Declan, you were in a hotel for 2 weeks getting tested every 48 hours or 72 hours. And that was for the whole crew. I mean, that's some commitment.
I think that's like, as far as I can remember, maybe 3,500 people.
Right.
What total crew?
Like you had crew on the event. You had to include the hotel staff,
production,
Yas Marina staff, the Yas Link staff.
Of course, you don't even.
Because you had the big space.
So everybody who was working on that island was tested.
See, and again, that's them. We'll wait for someone else to do it. We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And fair play to the other guys. There was NV Events who did
Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland. Fair play to them. They went out there and they did it. Yeah. So, and I think it was the comedian guy, Jimmy Carr. And he did an extra night there, right? They did 3 nights. We're already doing events.
But I think that shows.
It's happening here.
That shows that we're ready as a public to get out, get back into arenas, get back into concert halls and start making it happen.
The buzzword was, you probably have seen it, and we're all absolutely 100% behind the campaign of We Make Events.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'll be out on the limb saying this, I would say we create events.
Yeah.
But you, and I'm talking about you, the audience, you, the participants, you make the events.
Yeah.
Because we'll do it for you, but without you, we've done it for nobody. So the coming back, giving the audience and the participants and the delegates and whoever is going to sit in front of the stage, in the arena, etc. They're the guys who we need to instill confidence.
Yeah.
And I think when we spoke, Ed, we were saying that if we can get our own staff confidence to deliver, then we can get our suppliers confident to deliver, so that will then spread out to the general public. And you know, we are the general public.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to go and see Liverpool playing.
Yeah.
I want to go and see, you know, somebody live in concert that I like. But I'm not going to go if I'm going to have to sit 2 meters away from somebody and, you know, I've got a mask on and I'm going to have to get told when I can jump up and down. That's not how I'm going to do it. So with all the best will in the world, we've got to make sure that we can make that experience better.
Yeah.
Without that experience...
I agree. There's not going to be a substitute for live events. There isn't. That buzz when Liverpool score, or, you know, someone gets a penalty, or your concert and their favourite song comes on. That buzz, that's a together of a unity of people together. We need to get that back. That's what people want. People crave that. They crave that togetherness and that mass enjoyment. Now, if we can do that in a safe way, like mitigating the risk and bringing it all down, whether that's through tunnels or that's through masks or it's through whatever, just getting people back stage by stage and giving them the confidence, and maybe by the numbers of people not getting infected. I mean, I'm sure if, I don't want to talk like I'm a doctor or anything, but I'm sure if we went back 10 years and...
You're not a doctor, Ed.
I know, I'm not, and there's, you know, at a concert and there's 5 people with flu, I'm sure a few days later, there's probably going to be 20 people or 30 people with flu. I'm sure.
You've administered some medicine to me over the years.
I certainly have. I certainly have. In a liquid form.
So COVID, as you know, it's come in, it's changed kind of the landscape and how we look at health and safety. As a kind of a region, since you've been here in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, how do you think that this can actually positively impact, you know, how people adhere to health and safety, how they kind of, you know, put it in place for all of their events?
I think if you were to ask agencies, maybe even 12, 18 months ago, when they were putting the quote together, maybe the bottom line would be health and safety. And I view very few end clients who would take that away. But that would be the first one to go.
Yeah.
And it's very much the same as any company that has a budget. You know, training will generally be the last one to go, and the first one to go rather. And I think what will happen, and I'm pretty sure, even when we've been working with the likes of yourselves, etc., that actually people have taken the health and safety elements, and instead of it being safety and health, you know, they've realised that actually a big part of us delivering our elements of the event is taking that seriously and using that as a support mechanism, as I mentioned before, something that actually adds value to the production. That will then, I mean, we've seen that from Fight Out. I mean, Declan, you know, when he's talking about numbers there, you know, 3,500, there's no small fry. You know, that's a medium-sized event.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, everybody walked out of that event without one person catching the virus. You know, so it wasn't brought in and it wasn't taken out. And I think one of the things that Eddie and I agreed on right at the beginning with other guys like Dan Bolton, who you know, who got it from the beginning, is that our kind of, you know, our job really doesn't end when the curtain goes down.
No.
You know, we've got to make sure that when people leave the arena or the site, etc., especially our own people, you know, that they're walking out in the same health as they walked in.
I think it's really shown how the industry has pulled together to work collaboratively, but also trying to remain positive, but always remembering that, you know, we want to get out of this, we want to come out stronger, and that needs to be at the forefront of it, and not just we want to, how can we actually do that?
What's the blueprint for us to go forward? And to be fair, you guys, you've given us the confidence to go to our clients with our COVID plan. We've got our COVID plan, even down to the microphones. We're talking to, you know, the audio guys today. Every microphone that we put on site will be sterilised before it goes out. It's in a bag. The date's written. That will be assigned to a presenter. You know what I mean? So on some jobs we might have 48 microphones, but there's only going to be 4 guys on the stage at any one time. But again, you know, everything they come in contact with, every coffee break, that will sterilise microphone stands. The lectern, you know, with a handheld steriliser. We're going all the way back now to everything in the warehouse downstairs. Everything's going to be, when it comes back, obviously gets tested and gets put back in its flight case. Before it gets put in its flight case, It's getting a once-over with a sterilizer, and then the date of sterilizer is going to be written on the top.
But that's a positive, I think. That's a good practice to get back into. Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah. 100%.
What I can see from UFC and from other jobs now is like suppliers with their paperwork, like especially in the Middle East, like they would have sent them paperwork and you would have been going through it, and like some of the stuff like that we would have seen, you would have saying like nah, and then you would have gone back to them. But now suppliers are taking it a lot more serious.
Yeah.
And the standard of the paperwork coming in from especially UFC, the stuff that we were reviewing, like they've all got their own separate COVID risk assessments as well as their own risk assessments.
Yeah.
So they are taking it a lot more serious.
Nice.
Which is a good thing. Like,
Well, it's raised the bar.
It's raised the
Definitely.
standard, definitely. Yeah, I think that.
people don't have a choice; they have to.
And that kind of stuff from the top down just drips down confidence, which is just what we need. More and more of that to, we've, like we said, we got this 15th of September date, but, that's just a green light essentially from the government. But now it's up to us to really kind of pull together and.
Totally. It's going to take a few big players to go at events at the same time, I think, to bring confidence for the consumer. And brands, launches, more activations. Not saying massive stuff, but a lot of small stuff. I mean, one of the guys, Dan Bolton, fantastic champion for getting things back on the road. He definitely 110% deserves a mention because he's the most positive guy I see on Facebook or social or whatever it is on in our industry, because he's championing getting back to work and doing it properly, and not just let's go out and see what happens. Doing it properly, stage by stage. So
But that confidence that I was speaking about to the for the audience and the clients, etc. I am absolutely more convinced now that the staff that certainly the staff and the technicians that are working in our industry, which for years. And having come through the ranks myself, for years, we're really, we were our own little enemy, our own worst enemies, because, invariably because we were all freelance. So you had to take what was coming. Yeah. And I think nowadays, owners of businesses, I don't know Eddie would do the same with you guys, but, owners of businesses now really have to realise that actually the technicians and the guys who work in this industry are absolutely vital cogs.
100%.
And they're losing their livelihoods by the day.
Yeah.
There's been nothing going for them. And, one of the things that I'm conscious of at the moment is the fact that, yes, we've got a live date. Even back in the UK, there's a live date for the, conference venues and exhibition halls. But there's still no government guidance, but neither there nor here, to say actually how we're going to adopt to this, I hate to say it, but this new normal. New normal. What we want to do, and we've done it from lockdown really, was create our own. Yeah. Because I think, listening to the technicians, listening to the suppliers, listening to the guys on the ground, the crew, they'll tell us what they've
They're the ones who are going to be implementing it.
I mean, if we asked our sound guy, today, what is your biggest fear going out on site? Yeah. He may well not say COVID. He may well say the fact that, I'm expected to work 15 hours or 16 hours. And yet maybe now, owners of companies and suppliers who maybe in the past treated their staff a little bit willy-nilly, maybe now COVID is making them look at the whole picture. Yeah. And I welcome that so much.
I think so, and I think that if you flip that on its head, with the staff, the technicians, the kind of event coordinators and stuff, the way that a lot of the companies have treated people, it also you feel more secure, but you also have a bit more loyalty. You have a bit more, the cream has risen to the top essentially, and you really think, okay, you know what, this is the industry for me. This is I've been treated with respect. I'm
Well, I hope it's
forward.
not going to be just price driven like I think it was before this happened.
Yeah, our race to the bottom, as it were. When events come back, everyone's going to dive down there. I think as an industry, like Adam was saying, we've got to come together to get ourselves out of this. There's no point coming out of this and everybody driving everything down. There'll be nothing at the end of it. We've got to come out, responsibly. Yeah, I get it, responsibly. But also we've got to come out we've all got to feed our families. We've not got to necessarily build our businesses, but we've got to maintain where we were before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's no business without people.
No.
The same as there's no event without an audience.
No.
So we need each other. We need competition. In our industry, in our side of the industry, there's so many competitors. However, there's a lot of companies that we work together with. We'll rent a little bit off them, and they rent a little bit off us. We have good relationships going throughout. I'm speaking to like Mac, who owns Rave, and various other owners of businesses, and they're in exactly the same situation as us. And I will say probably against the grain, but hats off to a lot of the smaller businesses and business owners, because they've really looked after the guys that work for them. So
fantastic.
Some of the bigger ones, they've dealt with things differently. We won't touch on that, but a lot of the smaller ones, fair play to those guys. Because again, everyone's fighting different battles. People are having children. One of the guys, Matt, here has just had a little baby. Now, should be one of the most joyous times of your life, but everyone's on a bit of a reduced salary. You're celebrating a baby. You know what I mean? It should be, that should be the number one. But at night he's lying in bed thinking about, have we got work? When's the next thing coming in? So everyone's fighting different things. Guys have got car loans to pay. They've got apartments that they've put checks down on, and they were basing their salaries on X, and now they're getting X. So everyone's fighting a different battle. The guys I feel sorry for the most, to be honest, are the freelance guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because those guys, we rely on them. I mean, a lot of our freelance guys we bring from the UK, and they come over for a month, 6 weeks, 2 months at a time. And I'm speaking to those guys, and they're getting a little bit of help from the government in the UK. But the other guys that we use here, that are based here, they're getting zero help.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a couple of industry groups that have got together, and they're doing meal packages and helping these guys out. And fantastic.
Great.
Those guys were sent from heaven, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And the people that can put money in and help is even better. But those guys are the guys that find it tough, and they would be the guys that maybe aren't the ones talking about it. So, like I said, I was on another podcast with the NMK guys, and I was like, if you know of freelancers, keep talking to them. If you can help quietly. They might not want to. They might be proud. They don't want to shout about it. But they're definitely. We all rely on freelancers as soon as the business comes back. So that's me. One up for the freelancers.
Well, we're all in agreement with that one.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of change it a little bit. Lockdown, we had it. What was the best thing to come out of lockdown, Declan? A terrible haircut?
Well,
a long period. I'm not going to get a cut every week, but now it was once every 7 weeks. I think for us, the best thing that came out of lockdown was the Middle Eastern office. I don't know if you agree, and the UK office got closer.
Yeah.
Because every Thursday evening we set up a Teams meeting.
Yeah, it changed, didn't
for
it?
everyone. We could have a sip with a beer and have a chat about what we were doing the week before.
Yeah.
And now since lockdown is finished, we've continued them meetings. So it's brought us closer to people that we wouldn't generally work with in the UK office.
Yeah, I think
I agree.
for us, we had the 3DB Arms
We set
every
up
Thursday.
we set up an online pub type thing.
Yeah.
And you hosted a quiz one week.
Quiz.
We got
Fed up
girlfriends
with
and
quizzes
children on there. He was sending my kids round the house. Go and get us a bottle of shampoo. First one to get a bottle of shampoo gets 2 more points. The kids are running around the house. So that side of it was awesome. We had guys as well who were just in apartments on their own. I was lucky I had my family there. And one thing for me, the positive for me was I got to know my children again. I've got one that's 15 and one that's 17, 2 boys. And they're at the age now where they don't want to hang around with mum and dad.
Yeah.
But they had no choice. They had to hang around with them. We got on, it was really enjoyable.
Me, my boy turned 1 in March as we went into lockdown, so I wouldn't have got that 4 or 5 months. So you got to try and take a positive kind of
100%.
spin on it, 100%.
It was kind of like they call it the Blitz mentality. The people in the war in the UK, they went in the Blitz. They all went to help each other, and
Everyone just reset.
That was it. And it's like you became closer. We were Skyping and Zooming family members that we maybe see twice a year. You're Zooming them twice a month. So there's definitely positives.
I didn't enjoy lockdown. I think all my champagne went. And I couldn't go out to the boat. Things like that. They just upset me. A helicopter doesn't pay for
itself. First world problems, isn't it?
It's just it was tough.
Brilliant.
Coming out of it was great.
Nah.
They can fly again.
Yeah. Now you can get out of the chopper.
Next question.
The land up there. You thrown me off there, mate.
Brilliant.
I didn't know whether you were being serious for a minute. I thought,
Steve, how did you get into this industry? Here's a better one, right? Would you let your kids get into the industry now? Would you point them to the industry?
1,000%, Eddie.
Yeah,
I would
brilliant.
point them into the industry. You know, we will get through this. If we can get through this, I mean, certainly not in our lifetime. We hope we won't see anything like this again.
Yeah.
But I do think that if we are going over this hill, which we've been the top of, we're definitely coming down. Then it's got to be a better environment. You know, I learned old school rigging on tour. You know, so I did things as a, you know, and some guys watching the podcast who remember me from the day will then go, you know, hypocritical. And I am first one. I don't think I de-rigged the show sober in about 5 years. that was the way it was, you know, certainly in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And you know, and I learned from guys who rigged in the 70s when I would have loved to have been around. You know, it was proper old school rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that bit, you know, but you know, some aren't here now. And maybe that, you know, maybe that probably one of the reasons I took on health safety element, because once you do lose one or two friends, and unfortunately, you know, you have to call them friends, because whether you like it or not, when you're encounced in a tour bus, you know, you
become a family, don't you?
You become a family, and you know, everybody gets on everyone else's nerves every now and again. But I think you learn to tolerate. And I think that's probably made the person I am to try and, definitely might say different, but, you know, to run the business in a way in which I would want to be treated myself.
Yeah.
And I suppose, would I want yes, I would want my kids to come into it, because it's exciting, it's fun. That's the word. You know, what do you miss most about the new, you know, about fun?
Yeah.
Being on site.
We're making.
Do you know how you would get kids into the industry now? Because I was saying to the guys earlier, I wouldn't even know how to get into the industry now. Before, when I got in the industry in the like mid-90s, this was like running away to join the circus. There was glamour involved. There was a showbiz aspect. You wanted to work for these bands. I was a sound engineer. You wanted to work for these bands. So you did whatever you could to try and get in there. Now you can go to college and university and you just drop it. I don't know how. Well, I wouldn't even be able to give a 19 or 18-year-old me advice now of how to get in the industry.
So you know, a very brief one, and again, you know, it is how did you get into it? And maybe what you're saying is right. You know, I was lucky enough playing football, and then I got badly injured. I couldn't do anything. PFA paid out. What do you want to do? Well, you know, electrician's course I'd like to do. Always loved the stage, only because I think going to the pantomime, and if you're sitting in the front, you know, and it's just all these lights, and it just looked fantastic. And I went to Liverpool Empire and sat outside.
Many times, the Empire.
Sat outside when the trucks were loading in and loading out. Got to know and helped as much as I could. No pay. No pay. But the guys got to know me, and they'd give me a cup of tea. They'd give me a drink of pop or something like that, you know. Occasionally, I mean, I would have only been 17, 18, something like that, you know. But I effectively was just doing it because I loved it.
Yeah.
And then, over the period of a few weeks, maybe a couple of months and whatever, they'd bring me in, and I'd be able to unload boxes, or I'd do and then the guys would just chip in for a taxi home for me.
Yeah.
And one day, stage manager comes up to me and says, "Steve, you've got a bit of a thing here, like that. The Clash are coming in tomorrow." I had a phone call from the tour manager who said one of his guys has gone down, wife's had the baby and all that. Have I got anyone spare that can carry on the tour? I haven't. Do you fancy it? What? I have no idea what you're talking about. You know, what, to go on tour with the Clash? I mean, this is like dream come true. You know, could I? And he said, "Well, I'll phone your mum, and if you want, and I'll just explain what the story is and all that. But you'll be away for 3 months."
Brilliant.
That's how I started.
How good's that?
Couldn't
See,
come
how good's that? But that was persistence from you. You got into it for the love. I find now if I go to festivals and I'm mixing a band, 9 times out of 10 we're higher up on the bill, and I'll go out in the afternoon and I'll listen to some of the bands lower down on the bill, and I'm thinking, these kids have got jobs because they know how to work that mixing desk, not because they know how that band should sound. They've got, because they know how to work that computer, because that's what they are now. They're all computers, but you strip it all back, it's ultimately a mixing desk. So you're standing out there and you're going, I'm going, this kid needs to go back. He needs to go back 6, 7, 8, 9 steps to the fundamentals of mixing. I came up through the ranks at Brit Row in London, Pink Floyd's company. And if I did something wrong, this was their idea of health and safety. If I did something wrong, I was putting myself, I get a slap round the back of the head. You don't do that. So your health and safety side was taught within your industry. So I could do everything very safe and very well, taught by the old professionals when it came to audio. When it came to rigging stuff, it was kind of a different, you know, it was a different dynamic. But like you're saying, I wanted to get into that industry. I was doing anything I could to get into that industry, to work for that band. Because I think now, I say kids, youths are coming in at different levels. They're coming in. I mean, production managers who are 23, 24. Well, where did you come? I'm a production manager. Yeah, but how did you get to be? Did you come from a rigger or like? No, I'm a production manager. From where? So, you know, so the industry's changed, but you might cut that out. But
we definitely won't now. Right, we're going to end on we got a few fun little challenges which we'll cut into after this video. But few takeaways really from the opening podcast. We like to say we're going to do maybe 1 a month, 2 a month for this. So we appreciate you guys coming on. Takeaways for me would be kind of breeding confidence into the industry and kind of making it happen. Yeah. You know, it's not gonna, the opportunities aren't gonna come and bang on your door. You're gonna have to go out there and make it happen, and working with guys collaboratively to just, you know, essentially do that.
Same, echo what you just said there. Sometimes it's gonna take 2 companies to come together to deliver something. If it means that, then we're open to working with anybody. Yeah. If it's going to help our industry get back on its feet and get back the green light and putting bums on seats and money in people's bank accounts so that they can live, we're up for partnering with whoever's out there if we can make a difference.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Yeah, but again, positive. We are coming out of it. Like you say, Steve, we're on the other side of it now. We've climbed up it. We've endured it. Now we're coming out of it. So, yeah.
Cool. Right, well, thanks so much, guys.
Cheers.
Really appreciate your time.
We've got one more thing we need to do, right? And that's the new challenge, right? Called darts for tarts.
Before we go on to tarts.
Anyone would think we rehearsed this.
Sorry, go on, Steve.
So you know, the takeaway. Really, I mean, from our perspective, I echo what Ed says about collaborative working. The difficulty I'm going to say now, and it is probably the bit that, you know, I've alluded to, but not actually said it. We would love to do that too. Yeah. In this region, unfortunately, there are 1 or 2 of our competitors who will not pay a going rate or a decent rate for what would be considered as a professional safety advisor. And so consequently, we've lost work to these competitors at a rate that literally is unsustainable. When any people they're driving the rates down, and so the competitiveness isn't there. And so therefore, what's happening is, I think that the skill sets are being devalued. Yeah. And I think if anything I'm taking away from this is that the better companies, the better suppliers, the better agencies will recognise that. Yeah. And the guys who are not recognising that, unfortunately, will be at risk. Yeah. And that's not scalable. It's you know, Declan would definitely agree with me that we value. I certainly value my team, but they're doing continuous professional development. Yeah. They're training themselves to get higher and better and better and better. And if we're coming up against people who aren't doing that and are charging a rate that is not of value to the client, then the client needs to be made aware of that. And I think it's an important point.
Yeah. No, it's about keeping the standard up. Yeah. And, you know, to the detriment of health and safety, particularly in the world that we're living in now, it's not really something that you look to cut.
It's almost life or death.
Yeah. But we very much took it serious. In December last year, I had to sit down with yourself and over a Zoom meeting, and we decided to step away. We used to have an advisor who would advise our paperwork every 6 months, and we decided to go with you guys because I saw this continuous work that you do. You're constantly revising. You've constantly been putting different challenges around the world in different situations, which maybe we're not in here. No, yeah. You know, but if it comes to a situation, that we've not experienced here. 9 times out of 10, you guys have experienced it somewhere else in the world and have the blueprint to do it. So for us, we can safely and confidently go into any situation with a client and offer that back up. So we know that, you know, our paperwork is correct. Number two, that we've read our paperwork. You've educated us on what, you know, on the procedures that we need to do to carry that out safely. So from my point of view, you are an amazing tool that I've got in my box. So thank you.
On that note, we're there.
Darts.
Darts. There we go.
Steve wins 136, goes to the top of the leaderboard.
Tart, stay in the box. Tell you what,
What a great idea.
I tell you what, though, we have to give him a tart. We have to give him a tart. There you go. Yeah, you have to get in front of the board. The prize giving for the tart. Declan, come and have a tart.
It's a winning tart.